I know what I'm going to do with this. What an audience, what an audience. I was just about to say to you at home, if you're still with us, Céad Míle Fáilte Stacquity, Clár Ellis at Thrashaw. But I want to pose a question first of all this evening. Just want you to imagine Larry Cunningham, Brendan O'Reilly, Pat the Baker, and Eddie Macken. And I want to ask you, what have they all got in common? Now just think about it. Larry Cunningham on a horse. No, I don't think that's right. No, I don't think so. And Pat the Baker doing the high jump. No, that's not right either. Now, what about Brendan O'Reilly cutting up the sliced pans? Not right. So what do all these men have in common? Because they're all going to be on the show. One thing most definitely they do have in common, and they share it with that great audience that you just heard applauding the start of the show. They're all proud and loyal County Longford men. And this evening, with their help and with the help of several of their guests from that county, we're going to take a look at some places in and some certain aspects of that lovely County Longford. Now, it's a place that we've discovered through our research is just bursting at the seams with musical talent in particular. So we're going to have a lot of music on the show for the next hour. And to start it off, what better person than the lovely Larry Cunningham with Misty Rolling Midlands. Here he is.
The misty rolling Midlands that I have left behind. The cabins and the people are ever on my mind. I see the plains of Longford and the Shannon at Atlow, and to those lovely Midlands I'm going home. Since I left my home in Granard, my father has passed on, and so my aged mother will follow before long. But here I stand in Kilburn with no friend to call my own. To those lovely Midlands I'm going home. Every day, in every way, this city gets me down. Pockets filled with money, and each face wears a frown. I'll leave behind this city with his troubles and his pain, and go back home to settle in the Midlands once again. All right. Now back at home in Granard, my true love waits for me. I know that she'll be faithful, though I'm not there to see. I'll leave behind this city with his troubles and his pain, and go back home to settle in the Midlands once again. Every day, in every way, this city gets me down. Pockets filled with money, and each face wears a frown. I'll leave behind this city with his troubles and his pain, and go back home to settle in the Midlands once again. Those misty rolling Midlands will be my home again.
There, feeling very much at home in the misty rolling Midlands. Now, as Larry glides across the floor and tumbles over all the cameras to come and join us, may I introduce to you our next two guests. And they are Pat Higgins, rather better known perhaps to all of us as Pat the Baker, and Brendan O'Reilly. Well, Brendan, where exactly in County Longford were you born, and what sort of family were you born into?
I was born in Granard, County Longford, on the main street in my father's and mother's house. He was a general draper and school supplier, and I was born there. I won't say what year, but it's a long time ago. And I left Granard when I was 10, but my roots are certainly there, and as I think I said to you the other day, your roots are as much a part of you as an arm or a leg. You can't cut it off.
Of course.
No.
Yeah.
And I'm very glad to have it.
What about the high jump? Because, of course, you were Irish champion with the high jump for how many years?
Irish record holder for about 20 years.
20 years. Well, no doubt that had its roots in Granard.
It had indeed. I used to put sticks up in the back garden and go down and jump and run through the fields and jump over the drains. And there was one particular jump I liked over a high field, over a hedge and a drain into a lower field. I used to love that. Yeah.
And of course, in more recent years too, we've come to know you as a great songwriter and singer. So was there a lot of music in that family in Granada?
There was. My father played the violin. He taught music at his uncle's school. My uncle was, or his uncle was headmaster of the National School, Master Pat, and he taught the theory of music. And he had a very proud boast of singing at a concert in Granard with John McCormack. And at the end of the concert, McCormack took him out by the hand, and they sang a duet. The moon hath raised her lamp above.
Oh, what a lovely
And with Jimmy
song.
Mackin's grandfather, Barney Mackin, they were
Eddie.
lifelong friends, or Eddie,
yeah.
with his grandfather, his father's Jimmy, by the way, with his grandfather, they formed the choir in Granard,
Yeah.
Barney Mackin and himself.
Yeah.
So my father was he was more a musician than he was a businessman.
Yeah. Let's go to Eddie for a minute. Eddie, do you remember all these musical events that used to take place? Were you influenced by them at all?
No, I'm afraid I hadn't very much to do with the musical end of the family. Listening obviously to my father reminiscing, and Brendan's father obviously come into the conversation quite a lot. And as we all know, Brendan has a tremendous ear for music and is in that department. But I think Granard basically is a very musical part of the county.
Yeah. What are you doing yourself these days, Eddie? Are you working mostly abroad?
I'm getting geared up to go away. I sort of, in May, middle of next month, I head off to Germany and probably do a few months of the summer trips around Germany.
Isn't that awful now? Isn't that just a terrible way to have to live your life? And beside you we have Frank Berry, of course, champion Irish jockey. How many times, Frank?
10 times.
Only 10. Is that all? Indeed. Frank, is there a great tradition of national hunt and that sort of thing in the Granard area or in County Longford in general?
More show jumping and hunting rather than racing, but the show jumping and hunting is quite big down there, and that's where myself and Eddie started off in the show jumping and hunting.
Yeah. You've retired now, Frank, haven't you?
That's right, yeah.
So have you plans?
I hope to start training at the back end of the year, all being well.
So if we come back, say, to Longford next year, you might have a few handy tips.
Hopefully, yeah.
Oh, there's one irresistible reason now to come back to County Longford. Lovely to have you both.
Thank you very much.
And back to our panellists, and this time I want to go to Larry. Well, Larry, with all this talk of music, no doubt there was a great deal of music in your own family.
Yes, there was a lot of music, and especially in my mother's side, and they came from the borders of Leitrim. It was all traditional. She was a very good traditional singer, and my grandfather was a good fiddle player and tin whistle player.
So how then did you break away from the traditional stuff and get into the country
That was
western?
an accident, I suppose. I was at Cayley Music for up to I was 15 or 16. Then I emigrated for a while, and when I come back, I joined up with a group that was at the opposite, just for fun. It worked out a different way.
And you're still at it?
Yeah.
And we hear stories ever so often that Larry Cunningham's going to retire, and we're delighted that he's decided not to.
Well, I never said that, because I don't think you can retire.
Not from this sort of business.
You can cut down, all right, but it's in the blood, and when it's there for a long time.
Yeah.
He's so slim and fit looking, it appears that he's just starting.
Well, it's Pat the Baker's bread, you see.
Well, Pat,
For starters, isn't it? It's not too bad to get a plug for starters.
I'm telling you, and I was
Especially for a blow-in, sorry, you know.
you're a blowing
Wait a
Pat.
minute, 47 years in a blow-in.
That makes no difference. We had a fellow on a programme once who employed ever so many people in that county, and his turnover was ever so many million. I'm not going to give too many hints away. And somebody did write in afterwards and said, he's a blow-in, you shouldn't have had him on. So it may happen to you too, Pat. Well, tell us, you are a blow-in, and a blow-in from where?
I came from a place called Kilkelly, excuse
Kilkelly.
me, down in the County Mayo.
All right.
I came cycling up to Granard on a nice sunny day for to spend a fortnight in a Bibi. Still there.
He married a Riley, by the way, too.
He did. A relation of yours?
21st cousin.
First cousin. And what was so terribly exciting about the place that you decided to stay for 47 years?
Well, I suppose I like the people for starters. The people of Longford to me are mighty people. So that's a good reason for staying. So having stayed 47 years, I don't think I'll be leaving it for a long, long time.
No.
Yeah.
And
They'll have to put me out before I leave.
well, no, I think Brent was the only one that's saying or blow in. I didn't hear a whimper from the audience there at all. Let's have a serious word or two for a minute just about your own business. Now, it started as a very small concern, almost in your backyard,
Yeah,
didn't it?
I started up with both my wife and myself at the back of the house. In
Really,
a very, very
just
small
as simple
place.
as that.
You could call it a little, what do you call it, hen house nearly of a bakery. It was no bigger than a hen house at the time. But we persevered and we weren't afraid to put back our money and invest in the business. So consequently, it seemed the constant putting back of money, the determination to put the place forward brought us to where we are today. I may thank the three sons now. I'm not so much dealing with it now.
Yeah.
I may thank the three sons and their loyal staff for the ways they have developed the place up to now.
Yeah.
They have won several prizes at the bakery game. They go for quality, and it seems to pay off.
Yeah.
They're at present, we, the firm, are at present Open All-Ireland champions of the bread industry
How
in
about-
Ireland, so
Yeah.
that's not too bad.
Not too bad at all, I'd say. Not too bad. Well, you know that an awful lot of housewives watch this programme, and of course I know you're not going to want to give any of your secrets away, because if you give away your secrets they're not going to buy your bread. But now you've had that tiny little plug and you owe it to us. What makes a good scone of bread?
And I suppose you have to start at the beginnings. If you don't get the ingredients right, for starters, you're on a loser from there. Now, if you don't get somebody who knows how to make it after that, you're still in a loser.
Yeah.
And then if you don't get the right, nowadays, if you haven't the right technology, the proper technology, to make what the people, the customer, wants, well, you're going to go anywhere.
Yeah. Larry, what about you? Are you any good at making bread?
No, I can eat it all right, but
I had that notion. What did you eat on that fabulous cruise that you've just been on to Mexico?
well, it's funny you mentioned it. I signed the contract about 3 years ago for 7 of them.
7 cruises?
Yeah, but it's to work now. It's not just to... So I was lucky enough to play with all the nearly big Irish names, Nick and Clancy and Dermot O'Brien, even though some of them are living over there. And the last one was starting off in Los Angeles, going to Mexico. And I wouldn't like to have... I was working on the ship, so I wouldn't like to have paid money to go on that one, because you have to see parts of Mexico to know the way they live. There's two very opposites, the very top and really the very bottom. And some of the islands we called to, it was nearly dangerous to be on. They were that hungry, some of them.
Yeah.
And but then again, the Caribbean was nice and Bermuda was nice.
Yeah.
They're different islands, but that one was something different. So there's poverty everywhere.
Of course there is. Quite an experience though to see it in that
Yes,
manner,
it
isn't
is
it?
indeed.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Brendan, the whole business of music and songwriting, how many songs have you written at this stage?
I've only written about 15 to 20. I've 11 of them have been recorded.
11?
Yeah, so 11 have been recorded, and one of them the Olympic song, which I'm probably proudest of, the International Olympic song, Let the Nations Play.
And speaking of Olympics, you of course were once on a team that was going to go and compete in the Olympics, isn't that?
I was selected in the 1956 Olympic team for the high jump, and I was in America on a scholarship at the time, and I was ready, had my bags packed and ready to go when I got a telegram to Michigan to say, do not join the team, letter following. And the letter followed to say that my club hadn't got the money to send me.
And
At that time.
How do you think you would have done? It's an awful question to have to ask, but how do you think you would have done if you'd gone?
If I jumped my best, I'd have been in the top 6.
Top 6? How about that? My
Would have been
goodness.
all right if I'd got there, yeah.
And is it also...
You might improve on the day, you know.
Yeah, there's always that
Yeah.
chance. Is it also true that when your own record was actually broken here in Ireland, that you actually... Tell me that little story
that's
again.
right.
Yeah.
My own record here in Ireland lasted for 20 years, and then Jim Fanning broke it, and I was on television doing the sports that night, so I had to read out that Brendan O'Reilly's record in the high jump was beaten today by Jim Fanning.
Isn't that too tragic for words?
And looked blankly.
And did you
But I had to
manage
do worse things on it. One of the worst experiences I had, back in the early days, in the first year of television, we used to shove things under the door, you know, at the last minute. Hear somebody galloping down the court, and something was shoved under the door, and I came and I said, and here, a late sports flash coming, and I reached out, and it was an announcement from the newsroom. They wouldn't do that nowadays, because there was an announcement from the newsroom and the late sports flash, Hugh Gateskill of the British Labour Party had died.
Goodness, and you had to read this out.
That was read in Sports Final, you know. That shows you. That shows you the way we did things.
Broadcasting has changed a bit, I think, changed a bit. Yeah. Brendan, I want you to go off now and come back a little later and get organised with Billy Barry and the kids and sing for us. Will you do that?
The later song.
Yeah, a little later on. But in the meantime, we're going to have some more music here in the studio. But first of all, may I say thank you to my first three panellists from County Longford. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, you can go. All right. Now, it was Brendan O'Reilly who nearly took the microphone with him, not dear Larry, as I was supposing when he was trying to slip in, and now I've just done it myself. Never mind. Little piece of music now in the studio as Brendan gets ready to come back before the end of part one. Margaret Hayes spent most of her youth in Granard in County Longford, and she's a classical violinist, and she's going to play now the Bard of Armagh. So let's hear it please for Margaret. on piano. That was Trudy Carberry and Margaret Hayes on violin with the Bard of Armagh. Well, now in the audience again, Connie Lee. What part of Longford are you from?
Granard again.
Granard again. And I understand that you own the only recording studio in County Longford.
The only record company.
The only record company?
Yeah, I think possibly in Leinster.
In
apart from
Leinster?
Dublin, of course. Apart from Dublin.
Well, how did you get into that whole business, Connie?
Well, I started at a very early age. I've been in music all my life and all my family. And sang with bands, managed bands, drove the wagon, put in the diesel. And I suppose, like Pat the Baker said earlier, to give him his common terminology.
Yes, indeed. I hope he doesn't mind.
If you don't progress, you go back. So it's a natural progression to go into the publishing and the record business.
That's where the real money is, in other words. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, it's another type of door.
Thank you, Connie. Well, beside you, Connie, we have Joy Burns. And Joy, you edited a book that was published a couple of years ago, not all that long ago, about which town?
About Granard again.
Yeah, it's terribly popular tonight, isn't it?
Yes.
What is so special about Granard that people wanted to write about it?
Well, I belong to the Granard Guild of the ICA, and a number of us felt that as Granard is such a historical place, that we should do something about it. And we entered for an arts award within the ICA to do an award for local history. And a group of 9 of us got together and we did a lot of research, interviewed a lot of people from the local area, and it was very interesting indeed. We eventually won our award and then decided to go in that we should print the book. And we were a lot of work went into it, but we were very pleased.
Granard is, I know from what you're saying, very historical, and there are lots of interesting things happening there.
Yes.
But Ardagh is also another town that we're going to talk about a little later on. But for the moment, I think we'll take a tiny break and have a piece of music. Brendan O'Reilly is ready to go. I think he is with the Billy Barry Kids, and they are celebrating 25 years of show business this year. They're going to sing the little song. So let's hear it for Brendan and the Billy Barry School.
I say, please, please don't leave your litter about. Don't throw it everywhere when you go out. A coast-to-coast rubbish dump is not our land. The message of the song we know you'll understand. He leaves litter about, and he won't go far before he drops his matchbox from his motor car. His cigarette box and the cellophane too. No one ever told him what to do. So please, please don't leave your litter about. Don't throw it everywhere when you go out. A coast-to-coast rubbish dump is not our land. The message of the song we know you'll understand.
The family take a picnic for a day in the sea. They find a nice sandy beach, but oh dear me, they lose their bottles and their cans and their papers too. They turn the beautiful beach into a horrible stew.
So please, please don't leave your litter about. Don't throw it everywhere when you go out. A coast-to-coast rubbish dump is not our land. The message of the song we know you'll understand.
The nice little girl doesn't know what to do. Her daddy never told her and she hasn't a clue. She dropped her ice, wrapped her hair and her sweet paper there. For the beauty of her countryside she really doesn't care.
Please, please don't leave your litter about. Don't throw it everywhere when you go out. A coast-to-coast rubbish dump is not your land. The message of the song we know you'll understand. So keep your litter in your car and the bottles off the strand. Keep the papers off the sidewalk, plastic bags off farmers' land. We don't like it if you're dirty, we'll take pride if you can be one who keeps our country beautiful for all the world to see. Please, please don't leave your litter
never again will I knock on your door. Oh, you know that I love you, no other will do. Please tell me, darling, why can't you be true? Now you are gone, it's over and so never again will I knock on your door. Many's the nights I cried over you, hoping and praying someday you'll be true. But now you are gone, it's over and so never again will I knock on your door. Oh, you know that I love you, no other will do. Please tell me, darling, why can't you be true? Now you are gone, it's over and so never again will I knock on your door. Someday you will be so lonely and blue, then you will know just how much I love you. But now you are gone, it's over, I know. Never again will I knock on your door. Oh, you know that I love you, no other will do. Please tell me, darling, why can't you be true? Now you are gone, it's over and so never again will I knock on your door. No, never again will I knock on your door.
How about that? That was Declan Nairney. Thank you. Declan Nairney threatening never again to knock on your door. And needless to say, Declan is also from County Longford, as indeed are my next three guests. And I hope you'll give a huge welcome to them. They are James Larkin, once editor of the Longford Leader, last year's Man of the Year for County Longford, and an eminent member of Board Fáilte. With him we have Seamus Kenny, who is chairman of the RTE Tidy Towns competition, and Pat Farrell, who is secretary of the same committee. So a nice welcome to them all. James, I was just watching you there before the commercial break, and you really loved the Brendan O'Reilly and the Billy Barry Kids and the Litter song, didn't you?
I did indeed, and I hope he's going to do a miley on it, because Board Fáilte has an interest in it, and if it gets to number one in the charts, we'd be very happy. No, Board Fáilte is going to make sure that every town and village competing in the competition has a copy of that song this year.
In the Tidy Towns competition?
In the Tidy Towns competition this year.
Well, tell me about the Tidy Towns competition in general. Now, we know that litter is obviously an important part of it, that there's no litter, that is to say. Yeah. But, I mean, is it a competition that's nearly outrun its zest, is it? It's still worthwhile in your view?
Oh, it is indeed, more than ever, I think, because, I mean, tidiness, the Tidy Towns in a name is probably too confining for what the competition is. It's more now about preservation of the characteristics of towns and villages, of setting out what is best about them and encouraging the people to take an interest in the wider environment. And I think that's the real value now, that people have learned through Tidy Towns, not just to look at their own area, but to look at what's happening in the wider environment. And of course, that's terribly important for the tourist industry.
Yeah, of course it is. Well, you of course have a real beaut, a real gem in County Longford, the lovely town of Ardagh. And I think we have a few pictures put together. And Seamus, we'll move along to you, and maybe if you'd like to look at the monitor there, you'll see a couple of shots of Ardagh coming up.
Well, that is the centre of the village there, and
so that's the city centre, you might say.
Right, and the clock tower in the background. That shot is of St. Patrick's Church of Ireland Church, and the Lich Gate on one side and the Traveller's Rest then. And some of our flowers which we put in last year for Anton Floral.
We'll talk about that later, yeah.
There are some of the Swiss-style houses, Tommy Farrell's houses there, and the old constabulary house.
They're lovely houses, aren't they?
They are. They're actually unique. They're all limestone.
More flowers there.
Yeah, we put in some of those beds specially last year as we were Ireland's entry in Anton Floral. That is St. Bridget's Catholic Church. That's over 100 years in existence there now. And there are actually 2 acres of lawns to be manicured around there weekly.
Manicured is right, yeah.
And then we have Lyons' pub in the background there, and the old court pub.
Now, Seamus, we know where you go to every night.
and that's a shot of Arda Post Office that was.
And back again to the city centre.
Yeah, to another.
Isn't that a beautiful place? Great history attached to a little place like that. A lot of the houses are similar, and you say they're made from limestone. Was it a big estate or something at one stage?
It was, yeah. The stone was quarried locally, and the village was built in the 1840s and 50s by the Featherstone family, who were lords of the manor in Arda at the time.
Yeah. Now, did you have to do... how long has Arda been competing in the Tidy Towns?
We're 30 years in it.
30 years.
Yeah.
And what have you... did you have to do a great deal over those 30 years to get up to the winning... get into the winning stakes?
Well, I wasn't there initially, you know.
Sorry.
Our parish priest was then a curate in Arda, Canon Patrick Carney now. He started it with the Den public and the late Mel Lyons. And it started out renovating the pinnacle of... the clock tower there, and it developed from there, you know.
Yeah. What sort of things now has that community done?
Well, I mean, say in terms of the approach roads into the village, we have 5 miles of hedges which we maintain.
Manicure, as you said yourself earlier, yeah.
And we also have, say, 4 acres of lawns to be dealt with weekly, every 5 days in the summertime.
Goodness.
And then we've got flowers and window boxes and painting of gates and looking after litter and overall the restoring of the old estate walls as well, you know, which were in a state of decay. But thankfully, I think we have most of them restored at this stage under social employment schemes.
So there's a bit of employment there given as well?
Yes, we give employment through the social employment schemes to 9 people every year.
Well, Pat, Seamus I was trying to make out, of course, that he wasn't involved in the Tidy Towns Committee when he was a young fellow, but you were. You still are, may I say. And dashing too. But... Thank you, Bibi. All the girls in the audience are applauding, I noticed, Pat. But back to the serious things of life, Tidy Towns. You're a secretary, and you're not very old.
I'm 19 years old.
Yeah.
I began, my involvement in Tidy Towns began when I was around 8 or 9. I began collecting the litter, mowing the lawns.
Did you get paid for it?
No, I got a bag of sweets at the end of the day.
And didn't all your playmates at that stage, didn't they jeer you a bit for being such a goody-goody?
They did, but a lot of the time they came along and they helped a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, the youth involvement in Arda is it's there all the time. I mean, during the summer months, we have around 20 young girls and boys and girls from the village out painting, sweeping the roads, collecting litter, mowing the grass, anything that can be done.
Yeah.
They're very helpful.
Yeah. When did you actually win the Tidy Towns? What year was that?
We won it last year.
Last year.
That's right.
But you've won other awards as well, haven't you?
We've won the County Award 25 times. We've won the Best Village 3 times. We've won the Category Award 5 times.
What's the Category Award and what does that mean?
It's the small village. There's various sections. It's all divided up into various sections.
Sure.
I think there's 5 sections or 5 categories, and we were the best village in that category.
Yeah. Seamus, I want to come back to you for a moment. What was you were talking there about all the beautiful flowers, and you mentioned quite a different competition there. What was that?
That's a European-based competition. Entente Floral is the name of it. We were nominated by Bord Fáilte last year to represent Ireland as the small town nominee from Ireland, alongside Carlow, who were the large town nominee.
And you were competing then with other European countries?
We were with France, Austria, Germany, Luxembourg, Holland, and Great Britain and ourselves, yeah.
And how did you do, Seamus?
We came third, which was...
third. In a European context, I think that's absolutely marvellous. James, what is it, do you think, that makes one community really pull together and go after these awards and makes another community just fall apart and not bother?
Well, it really is community spirit, and if we could find the secret of it and bottle it, we make a fortune, because undoubtedly there is some magical ingredient there, ingredient that brings people together to work together. And that's really, I mean, it has always been a characteristic of Arda. I admit to be old enough to remember when they started fundraising in Arda, and the best social occasions in County Longford were the Arda clock dances, which they used to have in the Auburn Hall in Edgeworthstown and in Temperance Hall in Longford. And everybody in the village and the parish of Arda and most of the people around came to support it. And I think it's the community doing it for themselves. Now you need a catalyst, and Seamus has mentioned Ballycarney and the late Mel Lyons, and they sort of got the people together and motivated it. But it basically is leadership to work for each other.
Well, may I wish Arda and all its inhabitants the very best of luck in all the oncoming competitions of one sort or another that undoubtedly you're going to busy yourselves with over the coming years. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming to talk to us. Thank you. Okay, music again. And this time, a family from Granard in County Longford, of course. They are Chuck and June and Jonathan, and I do believe that Jonathan is the youngest performer we've ever had in this show. He's going to play the drums and he's only 8 years old. And this family group are going to sing and play We Go Together. So let's hear it for them, please.
We go together,
step to step like shoes on your feet. We go together,
just like the sand out in the sea. What good is sugar if you have no tea? What good are you if you don't have me? We go together.
That old feeling we used to get even feels better.
Well, there was a girl you made me forget the day I met her. Just like the tears in my baby's eyes, just like the stars up in the sky, like ice cream and apple pie. We go together. We go together like the storm and rain, just like the fire needs a flame, just like the picture needs a frame. We go together. We go together like the moon in June, just like the fork needs a spoon, just like the song that needs a tune. We go together. We go together. We go together. Well, the places where we used to meet. We go together.
Step by step like shoes on your feet. We go together,
just like the sand out in the sea. What good is sugar if you have no tea? What good are you if you don't have me? We go together. We go together like the storm and rain, just like the fire needs a flame, just like a picture needs a frame. We go together. We go together like the moon in June, just like a fork needs a spoon, just like a song that needs a tune. We go together. We go together like the storm and rain, just like the fire needs a flame, just like a picture needs a frame. We go together. We go together like the moon in June, just like the fork needs a spoon, just like a song that needs a tune. We go together.
Well, now the O'Reilly School of Dancing from Ballinallee in County Longford are going to dance specially for you. The Fiona will provide the music. Their teachers are Carol and Debbie, so let's hear it now for the O'Reilly School of Dancing. lovely, lovely sight to behold indeed. Now, before our next act, I just want to tell you that if you're out there and you're interested in getting involved in the Tidy Towns competition this year, it's not too late yet. It's almost, but if you rush in those entries, they'll still be accepted. And you can send them either to Board Fáilte here in Dublin, or you can send them to your local regional tourism office. Okay, little note there for you. Now, Dermot Hegarty and the New Plainsmen are going to play for you and sing for you, celebrating 21 years in the business this year. The name of the song, No Man's Land. Let's hear it for them, please.
Yesterday my little boy came up and said to me, I'd like to know about that land that's far across the sea. You'd say a prayer to God at night to make your dreams come true. I'd like to know about that land that means so much to you. So I took him on my knee and I said, son, it grieves me so to think about the good old days and the friends I used to know. When times were good and we would dance from night to early dawn. Oh, how the times have changed as we grow older, we move on. I long to see your fields of green and the valley down below. So take me back to the good old days and the friends I used to know. There's a lot of things in this old world I'll never understand. If I can't go back to Ireland, I'll live in no man's land. There's the lovely river Shannon where the peaceful waters flow. The lakes around Killarney and the gap up in Dunlow. You can travel around this world, my son, but you will never see a land that is more beautiful, deep, deep in history. Here's a message to you people in old Ireland far away. It's the hope of every emigrant to make it home someday. We'll bring with us our skills and trade to work and lend a hand and to build for you a home, my son, away from no man's land. I long to see your fields of green and the valley down below. So take me back to the good old days and the friends I used to know. There's a lot of things in this old world I'll never understand. If I can't go back to Ireland, I'll live in no man's land. If I can't go back to Ireland, I'll live in no man's land.
There and the New Plainsmen are sounding very good indeed. Okay, down to the audience now, where there are hordes of County Longford people, and I won't have time to talk to them all, but I shall endeavour to talk to very many, I can tell you. Starting with Eugene McGee, editor of the Longford Leader, isn't that right?
That's right. Yeah.
Now, was that in your family for years and years, or?
No, I'm only 5 years in the paper. I'm a journalist by profession, I suppose, but I was involved just last year in buying out the paper from the family that owned it since it was founded 93 years ago.
Right. Is there a lot of competition in the newspaper business in County Longford?
Well, we have two papers, which is obviously one too many for me. We just do our best, that's all.
What about the Offaly team? Of course, you trained the Offaly team and brought them on to win in All Ireland. You've also been involved, I think, with the Cavan team, isn't that right?
That's right, yes.
So, dare I ask the awful question? How come Longford doesn't get to the All Irelands? Am I going to be, I'm going to run out of the studio after this.
Well, I mean, people forget, that Longford has a very small population. I think it's the second smallest population in Ireland after Leitrim. And while they always have lots of good footballers, the trick in winning in All Ireland is to have about 20 equally good at the same time. Longford would have 20 over a 5-year period. The trick is to get them at the same time. I was fortunate when I was in Offaly that over a 5-year period we did assemble a group just barely good enough to win in All Ireland, but it took 6 years to do it. It's the same in most small counties. You will find that the All Ireland tends to be dominated by the counties with the large populations.
What about the Irish team that's going off to Australia? I think, Eugene, you're involved with them too, isn't that right?
Yeah, I'm manager of that team. And
suppose you hate having to go off, don't you?
It's terrible, yeah.
When does that take
Especially
place?
when I have to leave my wife at home, that makes it even worse.
Oh, you scoundrel. That's a terrible thing to have
They
to
go
do.
in late October. I regard it as a great honour, obviously, to be managing an national team, and I think it's an honour for my county as well, because I regard, I'm living in Longford now, and I obviously am a Longford man first and last, so I regard it as much an honour for my county as for myself.
Well, we wish you and them a great trip in October. We'll be keeping an eye on you for sure. Now, beside you, we've Frankie Kilbride. And Frankie, you were in the show business world, weren't you, at one stage too?
That's right. Got my turn at that as well, Bibi.
As well as what else?
Well, that's what I'm doing at the moment. The
Which
Parkhouse
is?
Hotel. I'm managing director of the Parkhouse Hotel in Edgeworth.
In Edgeworth Town.
I was 13 years in the show business.
And why did you get out of it, Frankie?
I suppose that the venues were getting scarce, so I said a lot of the bands were looking for dates, and I decided it was time to get out and start a new venue.
And are you making loads of money now in the hotel business?
You don't make money in the hotel business.
Listen to this. I hear you're also involved in another type of business, aren't you? You're undertaking as well? That's what I was told. Is that true?
Yeah, I'm involved in a small way, yeah.
In a small way.
I normally leave that to Peter Kelly in Longford, you know.
You know, I think we're going to have to do another show to get to the bottom of this. There's more to this than meets the eye, but I'm totally innocent, my friends in County Longford. I don't know what the story is. Okay, I want to move along now to Liam Mulvihill. Liam, is us County Longford that you're from County Longford?
Bibi, I'm from County Longford, from the south of the county. There's a lot of talk about the north of the county tonight. Well, Arda is more or less in the centre of the county, and I'm from the Keena end, beside Ballymahin, in the south of the county.
Right. Is there great rivalry between one end and another? I mean, it's a small county there, as you
There certainly was in the past. In our part of the county, they dreaded the North Longford people, and I'm sure it was the same in the other end of the county. Yeah. And I think that's very much part of most counties. In fact, I think there's one thing about Eugene McGee that's worth mentioning very quickly, is that the newspaper, the Longford Leader, of which Eugene is now the managing editor, that the very first chairman of the GA in County Longford was the man who actually founded the Longford Leader, from the family, J.P. Farrell, from the family. So he's moving into a very good GA newspaper, apart from anything else.
Very important to you, I dare say, Liam. Tell me something. I imagine that a lot of people don't know the sort of work that you used to do in County Longford before you became Ard Stewart O'Hore, Common New Class Gael. Can you know job of the
Well, ni raf mór an dhéanamh a gom riamh a gunda Longford. Caithí mé admháil. De bhíos ag obair is scail ag obair mar múnteoir náisiúnta ag bailin na carige díreach trasna an teoran ag gunda na hirbhí. Agus an san de thuas ó de bhís im chonig a baile gnám, agus an san de thuas mar cigar a scailna, cigar a bun scailna go Carlach.
So you were schools inspector, a national schools inspector.
That's right. I spent 6 or 7 years in Carlow, and I loved it there before I moved to the job in Crow Park, and then I had to move to Dublin.
But you've no regrets, I don't imagine, do you?
Well, I have regrets about moving from Carlow. I loved Carlow. It was a beautiful place to live.
Not a mention about Longford. Did you notice that? Not a mention about Longford. Do you want to cover that ground now before you get into fierce trouble altogether?
No, but really, at present, I'm actually living in the country again, and it's very nice to be in the country. I'm in County Meath at present.
It's hard to whack it. Couldn't agree with you more. Hard to whack it. Now, beside you, Liam, we have Jerry Quinn. And Jerry, you're chairman of the Longford Association, or do you call it the Longford Men's Association, like so many of these county associations do?
Oh, the Longford Men's went out with the Women's Liberation, I think.
Yippee! Yippee!
The Longford Association is very strong. It was reformed back in 1954. And we take part in a lot of the inter-county association activities, and indeed recently we were successful in winning the Laois Association inter-county talent competition for the 3rd time.
Does that mean then there are lots of County Longford people in Dublin today?
There is quite a large amount of Longford people, most of them, I'd say all of them, doing very well for themselves, both in business and in the many other professions that they're involved in.
Yeah. What about, we were talking earlier there about football and GAA and so on, and the fact that you don't very often get, shall we say, to the All-Ireland final. But I know that the Longford Association does something to sort of compensate, don't they?
That's right. We have our own inter-parish seven-a-side competition on the All-Ireland football final weekend, when we invite all the clubs from our native county Longford to participate. And this generates great interest with the players coming up to take part and with the Longford community here in Dublin. So we have our own little All-Ireland, even though we're not playing in Croke Park.
I think that's a smashing idea. Great weekend for the Longford people. Well done. Super idea. Okay. And here we have Brendan Pettit, and we ought to congratulate you, Brendan, because you've just very recently been appointed chairman of the, let me get it right, the Irish Tourism Federation. Isn't that right?
That's right.
What
yes.
exactly is that?
Well, it's basically a confederation of the tourist interest and the tourist product in this country, and the reason it was brought together about 6 years ago was to give the industry one voice. It tend to be a bit splintered, and you have the airlines and the carriers, and you have the tour operators, and you have the accommodation providers, the hoteliers and so forth, and they all have their own particular voice. And it is a lobby, and it came together so that it could have one voice and speak with one voice, and perhaps hopefully influence tourist development and of course tourist marketing.
Well, the very best of luck to you in your new job and your new role. Hope it works out very well for you.
Thank you.
Very well done. Okay, now I think a bit of music, and sadly it's that time of the evening again where we have to say goodbye to you at home. Who better to leave you though in the hands of than Mick Flavin and his band? The track